Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching Education News Network, where we get you the latest developments in education at the top of this hour. Today here we have a special segment for the education fraternity, Your School, Your Child's Future. And for this we have Mr. Chetan Jaiswal with us, who is the CEO and founder of MyPigu. MyPigu is a brilliant blend of psychology and technology, which brings up holistic development of the children in the schooling age of 3 years to 18 years by bridging the pathways with teachers and parents. So let's talk to an industry expert who will tell us a brief idea and take us into details in the future as to how the schools are looking like during the time of COVID-19. So Chetan, tell us something. What does the schooling system, the education system look like?
So first of all, thank you, Vibha, for calling me over here. So let me just take you through, how the education sector in India is to really understand during this COVID-19 situation how it's been really impacting. First thing is, in India there are 1.5 million schools are there, and which contributes to 250 million students. So we are the second highest population of students after China. So from 250 million students, we need to also think about what are the educational boards we have been having in our country. We have 5 boards to understand. The largest number of students who have been studying in the board is the CBSE board, which has been very popular among most of the parents and everybody over here. CBSE, IB, IGCSE, State Board. These are the boards what we already have it with us. Once we know about the board and the students, now the next question arises is like how many, the very predominantly which comes out to be is 28% of India's young population, which contributes to your 250 million students. So which is from an age of 0 to the age of 14. So once we are clear with the numbers, we need to also see how many number of teachers have been catering to these 250 million students in 1.5 million schools. It will be shocking for you to know that still as of today, we have 7 lakh jobs are still vacant as a teacher's job. Now, that is one aspect of teachers' vacancies being there in this industry, which we'll talk about it as we further move on. But also we need to understand that COVID-19 has also impacted our pre-primary and the daycare centers in a very major way. So which is something as 6 lakh numbers. That's quite a number which we'll be having, which has been impacted because of pandemic situation. Now, another set of schools which has also been impacted quite deeply or will be getting impacted in coming days are nothing but your day boarding schools. So there are 800 plus day boarding schools in India which are privately run, and there are 700 government schools day boarding which has been running by the government.
That's a huge number. We have 800 boarding schools that are privately run.
Yes. So pandemic has somewhere brought a loss of trust among all the stakeholders. When I talk about stakeholders, are nothing but the teacher, parent, and definitely the management which also comes in. So this is where our education sector has been impacted, but also it's a time where we are seeing a lot of innovation been happening. Also it's a time where we are able to see a lot of schools have been coming out with a lot of new ways of teaching, pedagogy, learning and teaching has been happening on a more regular basis.
So Chetan, when we talk about a lot of innovations that have been coming out these days because of the kind of way the schools are functioning, so how accepting are the parents at the other end?
Okay, so I think we need to go a little step back and understand who are the 3 stakeholders with that school really operates. One is your school management who provides you all the facility, that is from the infrastructure point of view, transportation, your complete education domain, every aspect of it to deliver your quality education and the overall development of a child. The second stakeholder are your teachers who utilizes these facilities provided by the school management, and they give a quality delivery to the students. And the third stakeholder comes, who pays the fees, are nothing but other parents. So first we need to understand what are the challenges or the issues all the 3 stakeholders have been facing, and then we get into what are the innovations and other aspects which has been really taking place. So when I talk about the school, so basically schools have been facing major issue. It's a talk of a town for every place. It's a fee collection.
Yes.
Right?
As you can see that you've rightly put up on the screen where you say a lot of schools are facing this glitch of getting fees or paying their employees. Right. It's been a task for the schools.
Absolutely. If we go a little one step backward, before Corona had hit, there were already certain existent issues were already there in the industry. Like for example, fee increment has been a challenge for quite a few number of schools, right? Retention of the right resources has been quite a challenge, having a good teacher working along with you. Then on the other hand, adapting to the new technology, what school has to be doing it on a regularly basis. So there has been a set of challenges which already school has been facing from before the corona impact which had happened. But after the corona impact happened, it has got more worsened as a school perspective, right? I mean, first thing is the fee collection has been impacted, which I completely understand the sentiments of the people who have been involved in the school segment. The second one is because the fees has not been paid, so somewhere, the teacher's salary also had been impacted. It's been either delayed or it's been partially deducted.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you on this. When you say fees not being paid, when we think our telephone bills are important, our electricity bills are important, our house rents are important, our EMIs are important, are our school fees not important? Because that's where the future lies. Why is that kind of a mindset that parents have?
See, we are taking care right now of everything essential needs for us, right? Somewhere we feel we are going with the traditional coaching. That's what all the people who have been involved, their mindset is. Traditional coaching is all about what that a student has to go to the school. There should be a proper brick and mortar school has to be there where the child goes and sits and then the learning starts. Western country has already been adapted way earlier than what we are currently facing right now, where already a lot of online classes has been happening. Whereas this is for us, it's the first time it has been happening. So there's a change which happens, and Vibha, we need to understand our human behavior is, adapting to a new change, it takes a lot of time. And that's where we have got stuck, we are not able to accept the changes. But yes, I'm able to see a good shift happening, though it's slow, but we'll see a good transition of learning going to be happening. But because of this transition, right now the fees has been impacted, a lot of debate has been happening, a lot of confusion has been arised in the industry, because of which the school management is not getting the fees, and they don't get the fees means there's a delay in the salary for the teachers, because of which low motivation happens among the teachers. See, everything is a chain reaction, what we need to understand.
We also see, Chetan, that somewhere, we see that there are rumors about government putting some kind of stay on fees or some kind of redemption on fees, or, there is a news every day there's a new news that comes in for every different state. Right. And this has kind of created a confusion amongst the parents, right, amongst the stakeholders of the right school. So what do you think on that?
See, it's first time experience for everybody. Even for the government, it's something first time, right? What we have read in the news, 100 years back we had a pandemic situation, and now it's happening over here. And every 100 years when it happens, I mean, as per the history, if you go back and see, people are learning, right? And when people are learning, there's a confusion state everywhere in everybody's mind. And everybody wants to give the best step towards finding the solution for the same. And we are seeing a lot of changes have been happening from the government perspective, because there's a panic mode. See, when you are in a panic state, what's going to happen? You will have a lot of thoughts running in your mind. So I see that somewhere the government is trying to come out with a solution, but for the government, what they think is might be it's going to be working out for everybody. But somewhere it's been impacting at least one of the stakeholders, right? So it's too early to state about, what will be the right concrete solution. The way I see is, education is an essential. Education cannot be stopped. Like how we are talking about medical needs and the food needs as essential, similarly, education cannot be stopped. Now you need to also think about by September, assumingly 15th of August, government has told the school has to be closed, right? Assumingly we start, it's an assumption that 1st of September we start the school. Now calculate from the month of March till the month of September, 7 months a child has been there at home. So 7 months the learning has been somewhere being paused. It's not going in a complete fluent manner. So education is a very essential part. As soon as the school is going to reopen, we will see a lot of students showing a lot of behavior changes. Because see, they have been adapted to one environment. Now suddenly you ask them to come down to the school, yes, they'll be excited. Correct? So we don't want an education to be stopped. If we are asking the parents not to pay the fees, somewhere school management, somewhere the parent has to come down to a point, and they have to pay the fees to ensure that education is not being stopped. The learning should not be stopped, right? So one is the fees collection is an issue. Second, I think from the management perspective, if I have to get into management shoes, I would also see the other challenge is most of the schools have been running on the EMIs, loans, because every school wants to do a little construction of the school by the end of the academic year, right? They have to repaint the whole school. They have to bring it out the best development for the child in terms of infrastructure wise. Then comes the next thing. Now the COVID-19 has happened. So that means a school has to take care of the complete personal hygiene of the whole school, right? That's very much important. Because as a parent, you will not be very comfortable of sending a child to anywhere. Forget about the school, anything you talk about.
Tell us something, are our schools really ready to face the COVID-19 situation and ready to be opened up in this kind of scenario? Are our schools COVID-19 ready is what I would ask you.
See, I would say, now here's the thing, the way I would like to answer this question is, if you look back 3 months back, March 23rd, we had a complete lockdown which happened, and within a week's time, our north of India schools started. And what we have seen, it was quite a challenging time. Our teachers have shown a lot of innovation. Our school leadership team has shown a lot of patience and come out with a lot of methods and steps. It was new for everybody. For teachers, it was new. Our online platform was very much new for them. Over a period of time, by week, we have learned from what we can do better. And we are seeing that all the schools have been really able to cope up from this situation. And they are coming out with a lot of ways. Definitely, they have their own set of bottlenecks and challenges. As the school are going to get started physically, it's going to be in the month of September, we will see definitely that we will have our own set of bottlenecks. But as we're looking at the experience of March month, I'm pretty sure that we'll be 100% ready as the time starts passing by.
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll take a short break. Do not go away. We are in conversation with Mr. Chetan Jaiswal. Stay tuned.
Uniforms is a very crucial instrument to communicate the unique brand identity of your institution. At Unipro, we are a team of expert designers and merchandisers with over 3 decades of experience in the industry. We are currently catering high-quality uniforms to over 150 schools across the country. At Unipro, we work on the best quality fabrics that are fiber-dyed rather than piece-dyed. Our association with some of the finest mills including Mafatlal assures nothing but the best. Each of our garment passes through over 30 checks to ensure quality and consistency. At Unipro, we work to ensure that uniforms are superior in terms of designs, functionality and quality. Unipro also provides new age fabrics that are antibacterial and dries off quickly. We suggest our clients to opt for one-of-a-kind customized fabrics consistent with your branding, giving your institution a unique identity. On the basis of the parent's profile and geographical aspects, our in-house designers offer suitable and unique pattern for your institution. Unipro provides you with the quality certificate as well as fabric swatches so that delivered products can be matched with samples shown at time of order placement. Our team of over 150 workers helps us ensure timely delivery. These, all the said aspects helps us provide the best after-wash results in the industry. Our production lots are consistent in terms of color, quality and size. We have both online and offline distribution options. With our online portal and size guide system, parents can easily order uniforms from the comfort of their homes and receive directly at home. Our well-defined offline process enables us to distribute uniform kits to over 1,500 students per day within your school, thereby reducing distribution and waiting time. We as a brand provide you best quality uniform in a timely manner. Contact us today, 9945172940.
Welcome back. After the break, we are in conversation with Mr. Chetan Jaiswal from MyPegu, and this is our special segment, Your School, Your Child's Future. So Chetan, tell us something in this entire scenario that we're having a discussion. How are the teachers being placed in this entire conversation? Because we always hear about the stakeholders, about the government interference, and we also hear about the parents and the fee issue. In all this, somewhere the teacher who's playing an important role is getting overshadowed. How are we dealing with that?
First of all, thank you, Vibha, bringing out this particular point, because everybody are talking from the management perspective, parent perspective, fees perspective, online classes perspective, but nobody is talking about the deliverance of the education who's been giving out by the teachers. We've always spoken, teachers are the pillar for any school. Any school to become successful are the teachers. And I would really appreciate and give a hats off to all the teachers, because the way transition they have shown during this pandemic situation, it's commendable. It's like we say overnight changes, because most of the teachers, earlier, before the pandemic had hit, they were still getting used to teaching on the smart board. Not, I would say, majority of the population is still finding it struggle. Few of them have really mastered in this particular space. So getting into an online space of digital webinar, creating presentations, bringing out that innovation of having more interactive classrooms, it's a different ball game. When you teach in a classroom, physically you're seeing the child, right? You have a better control. Your pedagogy, learning, teaching becomes more easier. But here, you have to prepare the presentation. You have to come out with the flow. You have to ensure that online you are having an attention and you are ensuring that deliverance of the quality should not be going lower side. So teachers have done a great job, but they have been also impacted on a larger way. The way I'm seeing over here is, now if the fees has not been collected, or the management is not having much of the savings over here to run the show, so what will happen? The salaries will not be paid on time. If salaries are not paid in time, there's a low motivation happens in, because the teachers are not working now as per the school hours. They are working equivalent to IT sector, almost 10 to 12 hours a day, right? And most of the teachers, they have been doing dual role, taking care of the house, of the kids, family, and as well as students also over here. So they have to do a double shift work. Now imagine if you are working double shift and you don't get paid. How does it feel? The second thing, now you get paid and there is a salary reduction. Now here I don't blame anybody, because it's a situation like that. We all need to understand. It's all about joining in hand and working together. That's the whole objective. We all understand this. I'm sure everybody can come out of this particular issue. The second issue, as I said, it's a new learning, it's a new experience which has been coming out. So teachers have to also learn how they're going to utilize these online platforms, and which is quite a challenging task. I mean, teachers were being taught in terms of using the smart board to be teaching in. Now suddenly an online platform is there, so they have to use different set of platforms. Few schools are adapting to one set of platform, few are using other platforms. So every platform has to undergo a training aspects. The third thing which I am also seeing is adding a lot of stress for the teachers. Stress, earlier stress used to be, I have to finish my syllabus, I have to ensure my children have been learning, right? Now here the stress is, first thing is, you have to really ensure that you are there on a video call. Everybody, along with the child, the parent is also listening to the complete teaching classroom. So there's a margin of error has to be negligible. So teacher has to keep in the mind, that she has to perform very well. And take my words, Vibha, teachers are not giving 100%, but they're giving 110% of their effort. Right? So with this kind of effort, and there's a low motivation happens, if any of the parent or any of the school management says, you haven't delivered very well, imagine the kind of, the emotions what they'll be undergoing it. They have a stress, not being paid 100%.
As you rightly said, Chetan, where we say that, the parents are also being a part of these kind of classes the schools are conducting on the digital platform. Where we had, there was a news that was going around where, a teacher being bullied on a digital platform by a parent, and she had to just quit the classroom and just walk away. So in such situation, what kind of examples are parents setting in the eyes of the child? So will the child be able to respect that teacher if there's a parent who's behaving like this?
I think, Vibha, you have really pointed out the right thing, behavior, right? Now, here's the thing. I understand that everybody are in a panic state, right? And you need to really control on your own mental stress level. Because when you are not taking care of your mental health, it will be impacting in the form of behavior. And absolutely rightly said, for the kids, their parent and the teachers are the role models. So the way you interact, the way you enact, the children will be also accepting it. Now let me give you some more examples. I think in the media we have been coming across, the teachers have quit their job, right? And they have, recently I just saw in one of the news that this teacher was selling bananas. He became a fruit vendor. Not only one teacher, there are many teachers currently. There are a lot of teachers have been getting laid off. They've been giving sabbatical leave that, okay, fine, I don't have money right now. You can come after some time when the school starts functioning properly. Now what's going to happen? If the good teachers, they start thinking about alternate careers, we are sending our child to a school where we have a trust and faith that our child will be getting into holistic development. Imagine if tomorrow we don't have those good teachers. See, there's nothing called good or bad teacher. Okay, for me, all the teachers all the educationists are excellent. right? Imagine if all the educationists, they start thinking about a career shift. First thing, this job is a low paying job. Second thing, there's no motivation, right? Third thing, there's no personal development, like how we have in corporate sector. We have at least a ladder to climb up. But not all of the, in this segment, not all of them are getting this kind of exposure. So the question which everybody has to think is, tomorrow, if the educationist starts thinking about as an alternative career, because of looking at the current situation, so what's going to happen with our children education for 2021?
Absolutely. So, Chetan, this is about thinking from the point of view of a teacher, but if you think from the point of view of a student, what exactly has to be the duration of the classroom? And how is a teacher going to sit at a remote location and really figure out that yes, a particular student is paying attention to what she's teaching? Because in a class of 30-40 kids, it's difficult when the child is physically present in front of you for the teacher to figure out, yes, the child is attentive enough. Right. So how will this play when the child is in a remote location at a really comfort zone? How will this concept really work?
Okay, so I'm going to break down to give you an answer for your question in two halves. First thing is, we need to understand how online classes has to be conducted in a more effective manner, right? As I said, it's new for everybody. Now, you can't be thinking about conducting a class for 40-45 minutes in a regular scenario wise, because first thing is the attention span of the children, including the adult also, it will not be more than 12 to 15 minutes at one go, at one stretch. We need to understand a very basic scientific logic behind it. So if you ask me, looking at the current scenario, 40-45 minutes, as an adult also we can't sit longer duration in front of a computer because we get too tired up. Right? So imagine about the kids also, they also will be feeling a lot of tiredness. Now this tiredness is, one is physically and second is mentally, which starts impacting it. So ideally speaking, 20-25 minute classroom is very good to start with. We need to understand, Vibha, online classes are not for completing the syllabus. That's not an objective. Our objective is very simple. We should be looking at imparting learning. Even if as a teacher, if I'm teaching only half a paragraph, and my child has understood the complete concept in half a paragraph, then my objective is done. So 20-25 minutes. Now coming down to second point, you said how are we going to engage with the children, right? I mean, you are at your home and the children, might be few children have traveled out before the lockdown and they have been stuck in other cities. So obviously, all thanks to the online classes, you can teach anywhere. Now here is the thing, when we talk about grabbing the attention of a child, first thing you've already done by reducing the number of minutes, 20-25 minutes you have done. Now second thing is, that's where teacher's creativity skill comes in. How is she gonna make it? They can bring out a lot of methods. I mean, play method is there, storytelling method is there. So they can always bring out their creativity side. And the way I see as an educationist, teachers have got Pandora box of creativity with them. They can always utilize it. And they've been doing a great job on those lines.
So Chetan, tell me, this was about the teachers. So when we come to parents, what role are parents playing these days? These days apparently there's a buzz that there's a digital age parenting that is going on. Parents have to be more active with the kids when it comes to homework, when it comes to the child, having a digital classroom that's going on. So what is the parent role these days?
So parent plays a very vital role over here. It's like in this current situation scenario, who's very close to a child? It's a parent with whom the child has been staying, right? Has been spending more of the time. So parent, the way I always keep saying, parents are the first teachers and teachers are the second parent. So that is a statement which every parent has to really need to understand. And as I said, for the teachers, for the school management, it's again a first time experience for the parents too, right? They are also getting too stressed out. They have a lot of things to take care. Many parents had got the challenges in terms of job wise, work pressure is also there. They are also working on a double shift. But we need to understand, at the end of the day, we are working for our own family happiness, our own mental happiness. So if we do not support all the stakeholders, who will be in the trouble? It's going to be the child, right? So it's important that parent has to play a very vital role, who has to be connection with all the stakeholders and has to work cumulatively towards the development of a child. Now coming to the second point, I've also been hearing from a lot of parents, right, that I am doing a teacher's job. Right? I am doing the teacher's job. It is I'm using my own time and effort, what teachers are doing currently. Now we need to also look at the couple of scenarios. First thing is teachers are ready to do online classes. On the other hand, we have certain government authorities who have given out certain, certain decisions they have made. So we have to honor that also. But because of all these hurdles, do you think learning should stop? It should not stop. So what a parent should never think that I'm doing a teacher's job. See, as a parent, you are already a teacher. You are teaching all the right skills. It's just that you're going one step ahead. As a parent, you should start thinking about it. This is a great time for me to bring that kind of quality, relationship bonding with my child. You know how today's world has become, right? I mean, we have been more nuclear.
Chetan, when we see today's conversation that the parents are having with schools is really traumatizing. When the parent comes up and says that the cell phone is mine, the electricity is mine, the internet is mine, why do I have to pay fees to the school? They are really reluctant of having an online classes where the entire mindset comes in saying that okay, I am not willing to pay fees.
Right.
Why is that coming up? Because see, it's your child's future. The digital classes that are being conducted, the virtual classes, is food for the brain.
Absolutely.
So why are we being stingent and stingy in that segment?
See, Vibha, it's all about changing the mindset. At the current scenario situation, as a parent, you should not be thinking that I'm paying money for the infrastructure. That's what most of the parents have been thinking about. If my child is not going to the classroom, so I should not be paying that money, right? But as a parent, you should be thinking about the quality of education which has been given out are by the teachers over here, right? That they have put a lot of effort and time and everything. Now, second thing what I'm also seeing is this scenario situation is also reflecting that parents still think schools are a separate entity. You have to think as a parent, it's a family. All of us are working together over here, right? It's like a joint family what you've been staying over here. We have to be supportive to each other. But if you are having this kind of thinking and thought process, then we need to also think about what kind of behavior you're reflecting on your child. The similar pathway the child will also start following it.
Absolutely. So Chetan, on that thing, what I would like to say is, see, when we are unwell,
Right.
we try to get the best of the medical facilities. We do not go to a government hospital. We always prefer the world-class medical facilities for ourselves. Isn't the same thing with the schools? If today our private schools shut because of parents not paying fees, are we as parents ready to send our kids to government schools?
I think the parents have the answer for this, right? I mean, if you start seeing, most of the parents want to send their kids to one of the best schools. And the way I see is education has been provided in all the set of schools. Now, defining what is good, what is average, what is bad is something an individual person's perspective. But the question, as you rightly said, that is a question which every parent has to answer, that, where I have put across my child in the current scenario, definitely as a parent, I've already done my evaluation of that particular school. And then only I have put my hard-earned money to send my child. And if this situation, if you are not very confident and comfortable about it, then you need to worry about the future of your child for the next year. Because see, Vibha, changing the school is not going to be a solution. It's going to be further deteriorating the emotional aspects of a child, the growth of a child. Right? So which parent has to think from all the perspective. It's not only about one factor of money, it has to be think on the psychological aspects also.
So Chetan, what is the solution for this?
Okay, so let me just try to give you an example. I think everybody should be able to understand. You know about the food chain, right? A food chain cycle in our ecosystem. How does it work, right? So that's what has been taught as a young kids in our school, right? That food chain is very much important in our ecosystem. If one element also has been removed, it completely destroys the whole ecosystem only. Similarly, there are certain factors which plays on a similar line in the education sector. Your fees is as equivalent and very much important in a complete ecosystem of the school. Your teachers are equivalent part of it, correct? Your technology part, your infrastructure, everything is very much interlinked, interdependent they are. If you remove one aspect of it, it's going to collapse. And I think all the stakeholders have to really understand the importance of all these three segments. You can't be running an education learning by removing one of the stakeholders. No, they are interlinked and interdependent. That is one. Second thing is, I think we have already been seeing a lot of innovation has been happening, right? Most of I'm very happy to see somewhere that earlier most of the schools, they were not very open for accepting new things, but now because of pandemic situation, everybody are trying to find out, what are the different ways we can work around with the kids and we can work around with the parents. So it's also bringing a lot of innovation on the table in terms of technology wise, in terms of approach wise. That is the second point which I would like to say. The third point, very important point, Vibha, I think you will agree with me as a parent. Lot of parenting coaching has to be given out. It's a need of an hour, right? It's a need, exactly, because as I said, it's new for everybody. And because it's being so new, parenting coaching is going to be bang on for most of the parents to find all the solution. Now we always say, today's generation parents are the Google parents. But how much you're going to search on the Google, it's going to further confuse you. Absolutely. Right? And every school is tailor-made. Every school has got their own vision. So every school should be looking out for more on a regular basis parenting coaching. And on the other hand, teachers, as we have been talking about, teachers' development has to be taken care. That means the teacher training has to be given out. The more they are equipped with the knowledge and information, it becomes more easier for them to communicate right way to the teachers, to the students, to the parents, and especially they can deliver the quality education. Absolutely. So if you ask me, these three are something which are, on our immediate grounds can be implemented and you can start seeing it. The last point I would say over here is, Vibha, when we talk about the solution, right? That most of the battles have been won, by the leaders who had a very calm and peaceful mind, because it's all about strategy. It's all about strategy, what you put across. So that's where I always say I've been advocating very strongly that mental health is something which is very much important. We discussed about so many points, and you start linking all those points, it builds up stress in every stakeholder. Right, from the perspective of teacher, school management, parent, and I think somewhere unconsciously we are passing the stress to whom? Our little toddlers. Absolutely. Because of our conversations before, like how you said, because of our behavior, our students, our kids have been adapting to this kind of stress. So it's important for all the stakeholders to really take care of their mental health well-being, because that is going to help them to really overcome the current situation, current challenges.
Thank you so much, Chetan. That was wonderful hearing from you all about how we're going to deal with these challenges, how we're going to overcome this. On that note, we come to the end of this wonderful segment, Your School, Your Child's Future. On this first segment, I think so it was really, really interesting, and I'm sure you loved the conversation and the inputs that Mr. Chetan has given us on this forum. Further on, we'll be having more detailed discussions with the stakeholders, with the parents, and with key people involved in the schooling industry. Stay tuned for more such conversations. Log on to theENN.com. Do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. For now, signing off, Vibha Raj. Thank you.